Hello and welcome back to NPC Next Portable Console. I'm John Voorhees, and with me is Brendon Bigley. Hey, Brendon.
Hello. How's it going, John?
It takes all that I've got not to say Federico Vitici because I do that so often with him. And he's not even here. He's out at a Comic-Con, the Ramacon, I think he called it.
Ramacon's a great name for a Rome Comic-Con. That's very clever.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Gotta hand it to the Italians.
They got it going on. Yeah, they got it going on. So if anybody hears any noise today, I just want to say up front that I have a team of like a dozen people who are on the roof of the condo building across the street from me, and they are shouting to one another. They've got a generator going. There's a lot of noise over there, but hopefully it stays relatively quiet during the show.
I haven't heard anything, and if anybody hears anything on my end, it's me talking, and you should listen to it.
You should listen to Brendon. All right. Well, why don't we dive into the show? You know, we got some handhelds to cover, and the first one that I wanted to talk about is a little bit of follow up about the SN operator, since I'm the designated epilogue guy.
Yes.
And it turns out, looking at the subreddit, that they've had some supplier parts issues that has slowed down delivery of the first batch of these things, because what they did is they did a pre-order for kind of like for a limited edition clear version, which is what I had ordered, that was supposed to come right around now, maybe this week, next week time frame. Looks like it's going to be May at this point, so you have to wait a little longer, which is kind of par for the course with Epilogue, but it's worth the wait because I'm pretty happy with my GB operator that I've got.
Yeah. On their website, they are teasing a third operator. Did you know?
They are. They've been teasing that for a long time. It's not clear to me what they're doing. Whether it's going to be maybe the N64. There have been people who have been begging them to do something with 3DS, but I have no idea.
DS or 3DS would be very interesting.
Yeah,
because
be really cool.
I mean, the thing for people who don't follow Epilogue and don't know a lot about them, like basically it's little device where you can plug in an original cartridge. They have the Game Boy operator and now the SN operator. You can plug in an original cartridge. It allows you to, first of all, like dump those ROMs very easily, which is nice if you want to back up those games for yourself into your own library. But it also allows you to play those games. Like it has an emulator and a bunch of stuff built into those emulators. The software experience is really stellar with these things. That's I have a Game Boy operator. I was going to point in the background, but it's not back there anymore because I moved a bunch of stuff around. But point being, I have a Game Boy operator. I love the software for it. First of all, the hardware is beautiful. The software is amazing. It has like retro achievements and stuff as well. It's just like a really solid, well-built device and well-thought-out device, especially when you compare it to the other like cartridge dumpers that you can get on the internet, which are generally more expensive and less fine-tuned in that way. It honestly reminds me a lot of like if you were to buy an actual Mr. FPGA versus buying the Superstation 1, which I talked about last week. In terms of just like we've taken this thing that is a little bit finicky and maybe not the most like consumer-friendly, like average consumer-friendly device, and we've like glossied it up and given it, a nice coat of paint, similar to like what Analog does with FPGAs as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's for sure the way the experience really plays out, because it is very consumer-friendly. I mean, really just install the software, plug the USB cable into your computer, and you're good to go. You can play your games. You can verify whether they're authentic or counterfeits. And it has a bunch of, quality of life type features like pausing and rewinding and other features that you get a lot of times with other emulators, but it's all built in. You can play it on your PC or Mac. I think they might even have a Linux version.
They do have a Linux version. They have two Linux versions, one ARM one and one non-ARM one. One of the things that I'm interested in though is on their website they say that that software is called Playback. The thing that you use, Playback is just going to get updated for the SN operator as well, so you won't need like a separate version of the app for the Super Nintendo stuff.
That's good.
I think is very nice. It makes me wonder what emulator is running in the back end of it. Like they're probably using an open source emulator to power this experience, and then just building like I can't overstate like a very nice front end for whatever emulator it is powering it. And, to your point, there are pretty good open source 3DS and DS emulators at this point if they wanted to do something like that. We didn't talk about this on the show, but Azahar just released a core for LibRetro, which allows you to now play 3DS games through RetroArch. If that's like your jam, if you just want to use RetroArch for everything that you play games on, like there's an Azahar core. It's, not as up to date as the main nightly build, obviously, of Azahar, but it's a start, and that's very exciting.
Yeah, there's something to be said for consolidating all your emulators kind of under one roof. I know a lot of people like to do that. And, I think that Epilog's done a really nice job. They just came out too with their Android and iOS app that we talked about last week that allows you to take your operator on the go with you and test carts out if you're at a convention or something and thinking of buying something. I think that is a really nice addition to their lineup. It's just a very small team based out of Romania. So, it takes a little while for them to get new hardware out. But when they do a really nice job with it.
Yeah. I'm excited for whatever that third thing is. Because you and I have talked in the past. I have exactly one Super Nintendo game, so I'm not exactly in the market for this device. But it's Dragon Quest IV. It's the Japanese version of Dragon Quest IV, for those of you who, before you get in the comments and ask me.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
It is a good one. It was a gift from a friend named Chase. Thank you, Chase. But I'm not in the market for this one, but I would love to be in the market for the next one because I would love to continue supporting this company.
Yeah, I've got a couple of dozen cartridges, and I'll probably, buying this, I will probably pick up a few more over the summer and maybe dip back into some games that I haven't played in a long time. So
I forget, we've talked about this in the past. How's the retro game scene around you?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. There's like one town over there is a place called, I think it's called World of Video Games or Video Game World.
Great name. Yeah,
it's kind of your typical storefront in kind of a cheaper rent part of town. It's a little beat up and run down. They go beyond video. They have a great selection of retro games, but they also sell Japanese snacks and just kind of tchotchkes and other, you can get yourself a stuffed Pikachu or something if you want to. A lot of action figures, that sort of thing. But yeah, that's the place that I typically go. It's good, not great is what I would say. It's certainly not like, I'm sure you have a lot of options in New York, but I know you have one in particular that you're like, what's that one again?
Yeah, there's one I like in Manhattan called Video Games New York, which it's a little bit pricier than most other places. But I have found some good finds there in particular. I actually have to go there soon because I want to buy some memory cards and controllers for the PS1 to throw in the Superstation. So I'll be making a trip there soon. I'll report back on what that's like. But last time I was there, you could get a whole PS1 bundle, like the console and a controller and a memory card for, I think, under $100.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Which is pretty good. And then if you were to go buy like a Game Boy Color or something, that would be like $150 to $200 just because of supply and
I think
demand.
that would be about the same price that I would get it for. I've generally found that at these shops, I mean, I like to shop these local shops when I can. I don't really ever find very good bargains, though. I don't really. I mean, the prices tend to be in line with what I see online. And really, the reality is I think a lot of these shops these days are also selling on eBay or their own storefront, too.
Totally. Yeah. My experience, honestly, in Tokyo was kind of the most eye-opening experience for retro game shopping in general, because what it really taught me, outside of just what it's like to buy retro games in Tokyo, it was more like, oh, this experience is much better when there's a higher density of multiple stores that you can go to and you can price compare against them. Like the fact that Tokyo is the kind of place where you could just hop on a subway and be bouncing between all these different stores, and honestly, most of them are in that one neighborhood called Akiba. It's like really, really easy to just bounce between all the stores and be like, okay, how much is a Game Boy Advance Micro at this store? Okay, how much is one at this store? How much is one at this store? And then just like go to the one that has the best price. It was really helpful over the course of like 2 weeks when I was shooting all those videos to be, just pick a couple games and use them as my comparison point. Like, okay, how much does a copy of Ocarina of Time for the N64 go for in all of these stores? And that's kind of my like litmus test. It's almost like going to a pizza place and being like, I'm just going to eat the plain slice of cheese pizza
Right.
and just see how you do the most basic version of pizza before we start experimenting with toppings, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, and that's very much true here too, in the sense that we don't have that kind of density. So, like, if I'm going out, comparison shopping for me means driving from one end of the Charlotte area to the other.
Right.
You know, maybe half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, and that's just not really worth it because there's maybe 4 or 5 good places that I've scouted out in the past that I would go to again, including other outlets of video game world, which is close by.
Yeah.
But that's the one I end up typically going to just because it's only like 10 minutes from my house.
Yeah, I actually, believe it or not, I kind of do have the same problem. A, because I don't have a car, so I
Yeah.
need to be taking public transit everywhere. And most of the video game stores that I know of that have like the best prices are in the middle of Brooklyn in places where I can't get to by subway or easily by bus. So I'm already like losing money getting in a car to get over there in the first place, or I'm losing, an hour and a half to 2 hours trying to. I'm not going to explain to you the way public transit works, dear listener.
Find
New York,
the
but,
right
like,
bus. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm usually like taking a subway into Manhattan so I can then take a bus back into Brooklyn. Like that, that experience just doesn't make sense unless I have a lot of like podcasts to listen to or to QA listen to or whatever.
Tons of free time that you never have, right?
Right. So me going to Video Games New York is like, it's right off the subway line that's down the street from my house. It's very easy to get to. The prices are like fine to good enough, and their collection is huge. It's like unbelievable how much stuff they have there. So that's where I usually end up going. There are, if you're ever in New York and you're looking for retro video game stores, I would avoid the ones closer to Midtown. The closer you get to Times Square, the worse everything is, and that also includes retro video games.
Yeah.
But the southern part of Manhattan, I would definitely recommend. You want to talk about a weird handheld?
I do. I want to talk about the Game MT E5 Mod X. Okay, that's a.
Do we know
game.
Game MT from anything? Have they released?
I was not that familiar with them. They do have other handhelds. I was kind of poking around to see what they have. I've never tried one. I don't think any of us have that I'm aware of. But they
don't even think I've heard of these.
Yeah, until I saw these renders earlier in the week, I was not familiar with them at all. But they've come up with this modular handheld that.
Oh, sorry. They're the creators of the Pocket Super Knob 5000.
Okay.
Which we did talk about a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
That replaces the right analog stick with a knob that I don't even remember what that does.
Yes. There's an 8-bit DOE controller that does that too, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, this change right. It changes the performance mode.
I see.
You're like overclocking the chip literally with a knob on the front of the device. That's what Game MT is doing.
Right, I remember that. Well, so these guys are looking to take the crown for Weird Handheld, it looks like.
Yeah, it seems like it.
That's a little weird. And this is even weirder in the sense that it looks a little bit like a Game Boy form factor, but the screen can be detached completely from the controls, and then the controls can be used separately as a controller for the screen or for other things, and you can then slot in a MagSafe compatible pad, I guess, and use it with your phone, and then your phone becomes like a horizontal handheld, whereas their screen is more of a vertical Game Boy form factor. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's interesting. They've got a chip in here that the P60 that can do Dreamcast and PSP and N64. So, it's got some decent power. These renders, it's very hard to tell how this exactly works in terms of how they're delivering power to the screen and how all that kind of fits together. But it's an interesting concept, at least.
Yeah. And looking at their website also, this is the third in a line of Game MT E5 devices.
All right.
They have a $60 one, which is pretty lightweight in terms of what it's capable of.
Yeah.
They have another one called the E5 Ultra, which is how much is this one? This one is 140 MSRP. Has just like truly horrible. Like they tried to make it look fancy. It says E5 Ultra like on the screen.
Oh boy.
It's like etched into the right side of the screen in the bezel. It's very strange looking. So this I guess is like the final form of the
Yes.
E5, because it's basically everything that you get in the E5 Ultra, but with this removable modular screen. Which it's worth mentioning, at least like in the tweets where they're showing this off initially. The screen itself also has a kickstand built into it, which allows you to hypothetically be using it separate from everything else, which tells me that all of the hardware is in the screen. Like all of the the SoC is actually in the screen itself. So then the rest of the device is just a Bluetooth controller.
Just a
and that's
Bluetooth
it.
controller. That makes sense. I don't
make
think
sense.
as a practical matter I could ever see myself playing like tabletop mode with a screen that's maybe, I don't know, 4 inches. I don't know what that screen. It's not a huge screen.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like the
5.
5. Okay. It doesn't seem like the best way to play a game. But hey, I mean, if you want to go from handheld to tabletop, you've got that option with this one. I'm interested now in Game MT since they've kind of flown under our radar so far.
Yeah, I'd be interested to test one of their devices at least at some point. But I will say my experience with the MCon when I was using it like all the time, I was using that MagSafe plateau that they give you. I was detaching that and putting that on the table and using the Bluetooth controller version every once in a while. Like sometimes if I was, I don't know, at like a cafe and I was like waiting for my order or something, like I would just go and just play something for a minute or two before somebody handed me my scone. And then
Fair
I'd leave.
enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
So I can understand the use. There's a thing I've been thinking about a lot, and we'll talk about this in XL about the Thor in particular, which is like you kind of don't know what your use cases are going to be until you get your hands on a thing that's like totally outside of your realm of understanding in some ways. And that was one of the things about the MCon, where the more I used it, the more I was finding use cases for the kind of like weirder edge casey things, where at first I asked myself questions about why would you include this in the MCon in the first place, and then a month or 2 months down the line of almost daily usage, I was like, I am actually using this feature constantly, which is interesting. And that's hypothetically what's going on here as well.
Have you ever really used your phone connected to your television? Have you ever have you ever mirrored to your TV to play games on your phone?
I did a while ago, just to like test it out with Nintendo DS when Delta launched the like dual screen update for DS. I think that was Delta. That might have been Ignite, or there was that like Delta competitor, which I don't know if it still exists anymore. But anyway, there was like a dual screen emulation update that got pushed to a DS emulator on iOS. So then, because I have an Apple TV, I just kind of did AirPlay and tried that, and it was surprisingly decent, is how I put it.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know. I've tried it a little bit, but not any time recently.
Yeah.
But we do have to talk about the Odin 3 again. There was a little bit of sometimes I feel like in the handheld console community, people are just looking for drama, even when there really isn't necessarily any drama. And this kind of struck me as a non-story, but it's worth mentioning as a non-story, I think, which is that the Ayn Odin 3 turns out doesn't have a Snapdragon 8 Elite. It has a Qualcomm Dragonwing Q8, all right, which is an Internet of Things chip. And reading through what this was all about, I think that people initially saw this because there's, printing. Someone opened up the Odin 3, saw the printing on the chipset, realized it wasn't an 8 Elite, I think, and was concerned that they had been, taken advantage of.
Right.
And I think the reality it turns out to be is that the Dragonwing Q8 is, in fact, essentially a Snapdragon 8 Elite, but without the cellular modem. And I think that there was one other...
The camera
module.
Processor.
And that actually is a benefit because those things are then not drawing power, even if they're not part of the device you're using, because obviously the Odin 3 does not have a camera, nor does it have a cellular modem in it. It's just Wi-Fi. So
you're telling me I can get angry about something that actually makes my life better, John?
Yes. The internet is like that, Brendon. It really is. So,
where
turns
do I sign?
out
How do I
it's
sign
okay.
up? Yeah.
It's okay, everybody. Deep breath. It's okay.
Yeah.
Probably draining your battery less, too, at the same time.
Yeah,
So
that's very funny.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to AYN for getting their hands on this chip. Actually,
Yeah, no, it's
the takeaway.
It's a good thing, and it answers, I think, something that you've brought up a couple of times recently is like, what are we doing putting cameras in all these things? Because, I mean, yes, we talked about how, you might be scanning a QR code to get into Steam or something like that. But for the most part, I don't think people are using these as like they would their cell phone for taking photos.
No, although the more time you spend on that SBC handheld subreddit or SBC gaming subreddit, the more you will see people begging these companies to let them use these things as their phone also. Like, people want so badly to use the AYN 4 as a cell phone.
I think people think they want that.
I agree with you. We are completely aligned on that. I think people think they want that. I think the second you have the option of using your Thor as your cell phone, you're going to be like, what am I doing?
The minute you get an email from your boss on your clamshell gaming handheld, you're like, oh yeah, what have I done?
Yeah.
What have I done?
Yeah. The closest I will get to wanting that feeling is when the iPhone Fold comes out.
Yeah. That will be very interesting, because if the iPhone Fold ends up being a good gaming device, there's a lot of ifs that we have to get through before the iPhone Fold is a good gaming device, Brendon. But if we got to the point where it was legitimately a good gaming device, would we even want to game on it anyway? We've already talked about this a bunch with the iPhone itself as it exists today. I'm not sure putting a Fold in it is going to make that any better.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That won't stop me from trying. I'm sure that won't stop Riley and Shane over at Delta from creating one hell of a build of Delta for dual screen emulation when you have it, halfway open. And I'm excited to test all that stuff, no matter what. Can I ask you a question? I like this is like office hours with John and Federico for me usually. The Sonny Dixon leaks of the iPhone Fold and 18 lineup molds that just happened in the past week or two, I guess, by the time this comes out. The Fold doesn't have a MagSafe ring on it. What do you think the over-under is on the iPhone Fold not having a MagSafe ring, actually? Yeah, this is probably going to be the most expensive phone Apple has ever made, to be clear.
Yeah, no, it could very easily be like $2,500 in that range. And
4 MacBook Neos.
I can't imagine that they aren't going to put a MagSafe on it. I know they didn't put MagSafe on the 16E, but that's a budget phone. That's a phone that costs...
And the 17E got it, right?
And the 17E got it. And that was like one of the biggest complaints about the 16E. And of course, you can put on a case that has a magnet in it. And because it's not like they didn't have the inductive charging. They still had that. They just didn't have the magnets to align, to make it stick to the back of your phone without having a case of some kind. So I have a really hard time believing that it won't have some sort of MagSafe. But maybe you get something similar to the laptops where you have a cable that sticks to the side, but then you don't have the ability to do, like battery packs, which, I think it'll have MagSafe. I think it has to have MagSafe.
I got so worried seeing those models with the very clear MagSafe rings on the 18 lineup of phones and not having it on the Fold. Because I'm also thinking, to be clear, when I think about the iPhone Fold, obviously I'm excited about it as a person who briefly owned and loved a Google Pixel Fold specifically for gaming. And when I think about the experience of an iPhone Fold, I think about it from the perspective of someone who will probably be playing games on it. And MagSafe is important to that to a certain degree. I think having the MagSafe ecosystem allows you things like battery packs, which obviously you will need if you are playing games on your phone a lot. But also, weird new additional accessories that we'll be able to buy and test out.
Batteries / kickstand, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, it makes sense to have it. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm also really curious about how will the USB plugs work with that. Will there be just one? Apple... It's hard to imagine Apple making a device with 2 USB-C ports, to be honest.
Yeah.
Other than a laptop. Like the iPad famously only has the one.
Yeah.
But it feels like when you have something that folds, there's a lot more reason to have it on 2 sides, I think, because you're using it in 2 different configurations. Yeah. And it would be great for things like game controllers that would then be wired into the unit.
Yeah. I do think if it doesn't have MagSafe, they probably lost me. Realistically, and I'll probably end up getting like last year's Android foldable.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you could end up with a very expensive fold with an incredibly fancy, state-of-the-art screen that's missing really fundamental things that we consider to be, not expensive.
Part and parcel with the iPhone. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like table stakes stuff, like both the MagSafe and Face ID. There's, rumors it'll be Touch ID. And that doesn't bother me as much as MagSafe.
That I'm actually okay with as long as it's placed in the right spot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I still have an iPad Mini that has the Touch ID, and it doesn't bother me to use that when I'm reading on that thing. So I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be an exciting fall, I think. I mean, there's a lot of potential. At least the rumors are that there's a lot of hardware that's backed up for the fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
including an Apple TV, which I really don't understand. People are like clamoring for a new Apple TV. I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's anything about my Apple TV that leaves me wanting for anything else. It's 4K. It shows me the shows that I want to watch.
I'm the same way. Although
I can rent a movie.
I do buy into. Percy and I were just talking about this literally last night, and I literally asked out loud, I wonder if there's new Apple TV coming. Thank you for maybe confirming that for me, because I do buy into the idea that your Apple devices do slowly start to get worse, like as you lead up to a new device launch to try to get you to replace it. My Apple TV has been acting up a lot in the past 2 weeks specifically.
Interesting.
It's just like not recognizing button inputs. It's slow.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I'm having a lot of issues with it.
Interesting.
Can we pivot for a second?
Yeah.
Genki's got some new stuff that I want to talk about real quick.
Definitely.
Just because I talked about the Avermedia stuff last week that I picked up. I picked up their, I think it's called the Elite Core Go, which feels like a contradictory name now that I'm saying it out loud again. But anyway, I picked up basically a charging brick for the Nintendo Switch 2, where you can plug it in, and then also it has HDMI out. So it's basically its own little dock. The nice thing about the Avermedia one is that it also has a capture card built into it, which is amazing for on-the-go footage capture. Genki, they're just making the same thing. They had the Convert dock from the original Nintendo Switch era. They actually had two versions of the Convert dock, and now the Convert dock 3 is coming out relatively soon. And yeah, is that the 2?
That's the 3.
You got the 3 already?
Yeah, I did. I actually, you were at PAX when I mentioned this on the show.
Oh my God.
So I did the Kickstarter. And so when we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't available for purchase on their website yet. But it's pretty nice. It's smaller than I think the thing you got.
Yes, it does look smaller than the thing.
It looks a little bit like a G3 iMac.
It also doesn't have
G3,
the
whatever.
capture card built into it, which I think is
no, it doesn't have that. No.
An important piece.
It's just a dock.
Yeah. But I mean, as a portable way of docking your Nintendo Switch 2, really great. Genki has also, now that the thing is fully launched, they've basically committed to software updates in the event that Nintendo decides to somehow brick third-party docks, which I will say I think is always a more overblown thing than it actually needs to be. There are very few instances of Nintendo actually doing that maliciously. And usually it's the fault of the dock manufacturer, less so than Nintendo. I can think of one specific instance. I think the company was Insignia, who for some reason decided to make a Nintendo Switch 1 dock that was actually bricking people's devices. And that was mainly due to Insignia's power delivery issues and not due to a Nintendo update or whatever.
Yeah, the original Switch was very, very sensitive to that stuff. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of margin in it for Nintendo to be bricking third-party docks. I mean, I don't think we'll see that. Have you ever used the ShadowCast, the older versions? I have not.
I haven't, but honestly, I am considering doing a ShadowCast Convert dock bundle for myself and getting both at this point. There is something very interesting to me about that device. The size and shape of it in particular, I think is really compelling. It just looks really nice. I think I'll need to go around and see some more firsthand accounts of how well it works. But this idea of a ShadowCast being, or at least with the 3 Pro, being a 2-step module kind of thing, where you can have it be this pretty robust footage capture thing that acts very similarly to like a Elgato or an AverMedia capture card, but also at any point you can remove one of the modules and use it as like a very simple HDMI to USB-C. What is that called? The thing that just allows for like pass through video that makes anything a webcam. What is that called? I always forget what it's called, but it doesn't matter.
I did too.
Point being, I think it's UVC, Universal Video
Yes,
Capture.
that's what it is. That is.
Yeah. It basically takes any HDMI input and turns it into UVC, so you can just like use it as a webcam or capture it in a thing like OBS. That's a really compelling product idea to me. Something that combines those two things together. So color me interested, I guess, is the long and short of it.
That's modularity right there, just like our friends doing the Mod X, right? But I think maybe Genki's got like a little bit better idea there.
Just to be clear about that also, because I think it's important to drive this point home, because there are probably people who will never need to capture video like that and are wondering why you would want both at the same time. The big difference is the power delivery of it. So like the ShadowCast that you can unplug and just use as a UVC module, that's for stuff that like doesn't really need super low latency. You don't really need to worry about the highest picture quality or fidelity. Like, it's still a good device, but it doesn't need to be the most powerful thing in the world. Whereas when you plug it into the full module, it's like getting separate power delivery from your computer as well. Which allows it to capture things like 4K at 60 frames per second, or I think even more than that with the 3 Pro. Is that true?
Oh, no, really?
It's 4K 60. Yeah.
Yeah, 4K 60 I think is kind of the limit that I've seen on capture cards these days.
Yeah. There are some companies claiming more than that, but I kind of I don't know if I trust that. But I'm stoked about Genki's lineup at the moment. I'd be interested to try it out.
Yeah, I'm still dying to get the grips. I did that Kickstarter too, right? I mean, that I have not looked recently to see where that stands, but they did take everybody's addresses and all that. So hopefully that's coming soon too, because I really enjoy. I really like the JSAW grips that I have, but I thought that what the lineup that Genki was working on, where you had the different layouts or different form factors for each was looked really good and compelling.
It's really nice.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I've been recommending those grips to people recently, so hopefully they're more widely available soon.
Yeah. We should close out with Anbernic.
We got to close out with Anbernic. A device that we are increasingly obsessed with is the and finally officially named the Anbernic RG Rotate.
Yes.
Sorry to you, John.
I'm sorry.
I
think my name was better, but we're going to have to start calling it the Rotate, because that is in fact what they're calling it.
That is the official name. There are a bunch of new photos of the RG Rotate that have appeared online in the past week since we last recorded, which seems to show a more finalized version of the device, which is, first of all, how we know that the name is RG Rotate, because it just is printed on the back. Once again, there are a lot of images of people of them using it as an MP3 player or a music listening device, despite not having confirmed or denied the existence of a headphone jack. I am firmly on team there is no headphone jack. I comment on Reddit like once a year, and I saw somebody claiming that a blurry picture they took from the initial reveal video was in fact a picture of a headphone jack, which I will just say I am absolutely positive is either a power button or a reset button that's like a little bit recessed into the device.
Or just a shadow, yeah.
Or just a shadow. Yeah, I firmly believe this will not have a headphone jack because, and I mentioned this last week, Anbernic always needs to have some kind of major trade-off with their device. It is like the law of Anbernic that there will always be one thing that either is like firmly wrong with the device when it comes out, or is an own goal in that they will advertise it as one thing, and it is actually not very good at that thing.
I wonder if it's a space limitation thing, because at least in part, that's why the iPhone at least was, said to have dropped their 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, was just the space that it took up that could be used for things like battery and other components.
Yeah.
So it could be that.
Yeah. I am curious, John, from your perspective, how are you feeling about the RG Rotate right now?
Oh, I'm really excited about it. I don't really care if it doesn't have a headphone jack. I mean, would I like there to be a headphone jack? Absolutely. I think that would make it more versatile, a little more flexible. But if it's just Bluetooth, I'm okay with that too. I'll deal with it. I do think it's weird that Anbernic is pushing the retro cassette music player angle so hard, because it makes it feel to me like they're maybe a little insecure about themselves as far as like a handheld console maker.
That's an interesting point. Yeah,
You know,
they're trying to
because-
break outside of their niche.
Yeah, because half of these photos show someone playing music with it, and I mean, do we know if this is Android or not?
We do. Yeah, this is Android.
Okay, so
yeah, there are images and videos of it running Android, and then one of the
That's
images here as well is Anbernick's Android front end.
It's their Android front end. That's right. So I was going to say that you won't be able to get streaming music on it, but I guess you would be able to probably run Spotify or Apple Music Android versions on it.
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
depending on if it has Play Store access or not. But even still, they're like third party.
They're third-party things, yeah.
Yeah, that you can use to get things like Spotify on there. Yeah, I'm curious about it. I think in this scenario where they're advertising it as a music player, I am really hopeful that USB-C port that we know is on the top is capable
Headphone
of
jack, too.
data and not just charging. I'm also really excited about this, though. The one main piece of pushback I keep seeing is that it's like a clamshell device that doesn't protect the screen at all.
Doesn't have the benefits of a clamshell.
Because, like,
I get it.
Here's my Miu Flip. Like, the screen is protected, the buttons are protected, etc. In the case of the RG Rotate, like, when it's closed, this is just the screen, and then that flips up. So you're basically only protecting the buttons, but the screen is totally out there. Like, I don't really care about that at all in this
I don't
case.
really either. I mean, look, you're protecting the buttons. The buttons don't really need the same protection. So I think it's more just about it being small and being kind of like a cool mechanism for opening it up and playing. I mean, I tend to agree. I'm not concerned that there are no sticks. If I get this, I'll just be playing like Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games on it.
Same.
That's pretty much it. Maybe a little SNES, I suppose, too.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah, I think depending on the chip that they have in here, having like also using it as like maybe a single screen Nintendo DS would be really fun. I think there are a lot of opportunities.
I
here that I'm
do
excited
wonder
about.
about the battery life on this thing, though, because the way that it's designed, it does seem awfully thin. I don't think there's going to be much of a battery in that
Yeah,
device.
I wonder if I zoom in enough, can we see? Oh wait, I just saw it for a second. Hang on, bear with me, folks. 2,000 milliamp hours.
2,000. Okay.
It's not great, but also not the worst thing in the world. Like, how much does the Miu Flip have? Miu Flip's got 3,000.
Okay.
So, I will say the Miu Flip is a thing I feel like I almost never need to charge. Like,
Yeah,
and
and that's the thing.
workhorse.
If you're playing Game Boy on it, you're not going to be draining the battery that fast anyway. So
Yeah, the concern for me actually is the Android of it all, because Android does have a tendency to rip through battery life a lot.
That's
Like
true.
it has a great sleep mode. Don't get me wrong; it's like pretty decent for that. But if you have it connected to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and things like that, it's constantly like polling for those things. And if you have like an app that has notifications, for example, on there, I will probably do what I do like with my AYN Thor when I'm not focused on retro achievements and just like have it in airplane mode at all times.
I was going to say turn off all the radios.
Yeah, but I do. If this thing is capable of audio out through USB-C, I will be plugging Apple EarPods into it, and I will be using it as an MP3 player and a video game device. Like it will replace this. Which honestly, I'm holding for the audio listeners. I'm holding my Miu Flip. I am constantly worried about the hinge breaking on this. I've been very lucky in that it hasn't. I've had this since launch, and my hinge has been totally fine. But like, literally every day, I get served a post on the Miu Flip subreddit about somebody else's hinge that's broken.
You've
It
got
feels
the
like an
good one
inevitability.
though, right? I mean, isn't the gray supposed to be more sturdy than some of the other colors?
The gray is bad, and the
Oh.
yellow is bad, and the black is apparently like generally fine. Like there
black, yeah.
are less cases of the black.
I guess
but
that
then
is
every
black,
time,
yeah.
even when you say that, like somebody will show up in the comments and they'll post a picture of the black one. Like,
Well,
completely
yeah, I know. It's all
eviscerated.
anecdotal anyway, but
It's all anecdotal. And that's the thing that I always say on this show, and I think it's worth reiterating. People don't post pictures of their unbroken hinge.
it's true. People who have been using their Miu Flip from the very beginning and have been totally fine, they may not even be on Reddit to begin with. Not
Exactly.
let alone the fact
Right.
that theirs hasn't broken.
So here's me online posting, my hinge hasn't broken. I'm one
now
of the
people are going to get angry because you're the lucky one, and
yeah,
you're
I
bragging about it.
Yeah, I love the Miu Flip. I still use it all the time.
Yeah, it's great.
But
Great
I
device.
will be sad when it breaks, and I will not buy a replacement. Which is
Yeah.
why I'm excited about the RG Rotate.
All right. Well, hey, you know what? I think that's the show right there, Brendon. I think that's
I think so too.
we're gonna call it quits for the day, but we're gonna talk during NPC XL about the Thor a little bit more, because I know Brendan's been working on a video, and of course that video will be coming out soonish, maybe. Brendon, I don't know. I don't want to.
I'm hoping to shoot it today, so it'll probably be a short form video. To be clear, I don't know if it'll be long form unless I really feel. I mean, I did write like a 1,000 word script for this short form video, so maybe it will turn into a long form one.
Well, 1,000 words is that's no real, Brendon. That's no real.
This is my process. Unfortunately, is I sit down and I write until I stop writing, and then I'm like, okay, well, what form does this take? But the point being, it's 6 months of the Thor. We've had the Thor for 6 months at this point.
Yes.
So
So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And when Brendan's video is out, you can see it over on wavelengths.online, and you can see me over on macstories.net, and just look for both of us on social media. And you know what? Federico, he should be back next week, and he'll have stories of Comic-Con. So until then, talk to you later, Brendon.
Bye, John. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.